I remember my mother used to tell me this all the time. And I know for a fact that your mom has told you this as well. So, not to quote your mother here, but when I was younger, I used to place a huge importance on my friends. They were probably the most important pillar of my life at the time, as far as giving them my time, but also giving them my energy. And my mom used to say this all the time that I would be lucky if by the time I turned 20, I had three friends that I still spoke to on a weekly basis. And then I turned 20 and my mom was wrong. I had one friend that I still spoke to consistently. And so I'm sure you could tell my home is quite empty. Right now, I actually sold my couch yesterday and I will be moving out of here within the next couple weeks. But I do think it's good, even for you, to take 20 or 30 minutes and reflect on this past year. Reflect on what went well and what are you proud of, but also what went wrong and what could you learn from. And it is New Year's Day for me. It's 2 a.m., January 1st, 2025, which is wild that it's 2025, by the way. I'm sure you could tell that I went out with a bang for this New Year's. I do live in Los Angeles, so hopefully you don't hear the fireworks in the background. But when I look at this past year for me, I am extremely proud of how far I've came and how I've learned to put my time and energy into the right actions that will get me to where I want to go. But I'm also disappointed. I'm disappointed that I made the same mistake twice. And I didn't learn from the advice that my mother gave me, where I learned that lesson when I was 20. And so what you'll be able to take away from this video is understanding that putting your time and energy into the right people is just as important, if not more important, than putting your time and energy into the right actions. But this year, it has been a weird one for me. This has been my most successful year on paper by far, but it's also been a year of shedding weight, trimming fat, what I call it. I've had business partners that have stolen money from me. I have had friends that I found out to be disingenuous. I've had friends that I realized provide no value to me that I cut off. Family members that I realized didn't serve me. And what I learned through all of that is that that is okay. You know, putting your time and energy into the right people is just as important as putting your time and energy into the right actions. And I had this realization this last week. You know, I live in Los Angeles. This is a 3-story townhome that I moved into a couple years ago. It's 4 bedrooms. And I moved a friend of mine in this last year. I thought he was my friend. I did a lot for him. I mean, he was basically living for fucking free. And some things happened that made me realize, one, he was disingenuous, but two, he gave no value to me, so I told him to leave, kicked him out. And this last week, he left, which is a consequence to my decision. But I had this moment where he left, and I was sitting here by myself thinking, and quite literally the 2 people next to me that have been consistent has been my daughter and my daughter's mom. And it just made me realize that I made the same mistake twice. If anything, people who don't serve me, business partners, friends, they've had a larger piece of me the past year, 2 years, than my own daughter has. And for you, I'm sure you could, maybe there's someone in your head right now where you feel the same. You know, but if you take 5 minutes and think of the 3 to 5 people closest to you, my question is, do they deserve to be in your life and what you're building? You know, now when I look at relationships, I look at 2 things. Number 1, do you provide extreme value to me? And if not, that's okay. But are you at least a genuine human being? And if you're not either of those, then why the hell do you deserve to be a part of what I'm building? And so I would challenge you to look at the people around you and question the same. But I don't want this to be a solemn video, you guys. Like I said, this has been my most successful year on paper. I'm actually moving to a little bit of a nicer place. But for context, 12 months ago, December 15th, 2023, I know it was the second week of December, I left Iman Ghazi's team and I had $6,000 to my name. In fact, $5,000 of that $6,000 was gifted to me from Iman as a parting ways Christmas bonus gift, which he didn't have to do. So if you're watching this, shout out to you, bro. But I remember thinking, you guys, this is literally how I came up with, once you learn to sell, you will never starve. I lived it, especially this past year. And I remember thinking, well, shit. My first sales role ever was for Alex Hormozi at Gym Launch years ago. My second sales role was for Iman Ghazi, titans in the space. I remember questioning, do I really have this skill at a high level? Could I take this to other places, other companies, and succeed and still be the top performer on the team? But within 60 days, I was back making $20,000 a month as an online remote sales rep, top performer on the team. And by month 7, I closed a deal with Devin Jatho to build out and manage a sales team where he was paying me $100,000 as a base salary, so $8,800 per month. Plus on top of that, I got a split of the floor. So if you don't know, a split of the floor, let's imagine there was 4 sales reps on the team that were each making $100,000 per month. That's what they were closing in cash for the company. I would get anywhere from a 5 to a 7.5% of that money. So let's say they do $400K, I get 5%, that's $20,000, plus I get the base salary. So you could see decently quick how that can add up, or at least see what your progression could look like in online sales, from going from setter to closer to management to sales director to business owner and so forth. But what I'm more proud of is sitting here talking to you and putting my time and energy into the things that are important to me. At this point, I work with so many sales reps, sales reps that want to increase their close rate and make more money on their role, setters who want to grow to closers, people who just want to get better in sales in general, but also, people looking to break into the space or just land a top 1% offer for people like Hormozi or Andrew Tate or Tony Robbins or Thak Nguyen, Iman, all people that I connect with. And on day one, what I always tell them is that the purpose of sales is to make as much money as humanly possible in a short period of time. That way you could take that money and reinvest back into yourself to get out of sales. That is exactly what I did and exactly what I'm doing. And so for you, what I want you to take away out of this video is 2 things. Number 1, it is just as important to put your time and energy into the right people as it is into the right actions. Working hard is not enough. You have to work hard in the right direction. My father, I'm sure you could say this about your parents. My dad is the hardest working guy that I know. He had me at 17 and he's been doing construction for the past 30 years. But 30 years of him swinging the hammer has kept him 30 years later swinging the hammer. So are you working hard or are you working hard in the right direction? There's a difference. But number 2, the second thing I want you to take away from this. Once you learn to sell, you will never starve. Thanks.